Welcome to the Cash Flow Couple Podcast, where we go behind the scenes in our short-term rental business and reveal tips, tricks, secrets, successes, and failures. Whether you have 0 units or 100 units, this podcast is for you. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Wendy Williams, along with my husband, John Williams. Together, we operate Queen City Suites, a short-term rental business here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome back to the podcast. We are here again to talk about everything short-term rental related. And today we are actually going to be talking about one of the most important things in the short-term rental space, and that is mindset.
Yeah, everything starts with mindset, doesn't it? And everything we've ever learned and knew, it was getting into the right mindset of whatever that thing was. And I always often think about that as kind of the foundation.
Yeah, I do too.
I like that illustration of, you can't start building a house with the roof. You have to start with the foundation.
Always. And
often it's getting into the right frame of mind and frame of reference for whatever it is you're doing. And I think that's actually super important probably in any business, but this business especially, because I think a lot of people get into it with kind of misconceptions about what it really is.
That's very true. That's a really good point, and we should really talk about that.
We should. So the reason I said that is because there are a lot of, and I'm not saying this is wrong or right, but there's maybe a more, I'm going to just say amateur mindset versus a professional mindset. And those two things often clash. I've talked about this before. When you're on a lot of the, big public forums and things like that, that's what I see on Facebook. And somebody will ask a question and then people will answer it kind of from their frame of what their mindset is about the business. And often it's, and I even see them make assumptions based on what their mindset is. Mm-hmm. And I forget what that question was. Somebody asked the other day, but somebody answered, and then it was like, okay, they're answering in the context of, well, everybody washes their own stuff. Everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody does their own laundry.
Right.
But that's where they come from. And they may have been doing it forever. Before there was an Airbnb or a home away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they've had this rental cabin forever, and that's the way they do it. And they've only got the one, and they're not really planning on having more. They do it because that's the place they want to retire when they retire. And so they're kind of running as a short-term rental in the meantime to pay the mortgage. I mean, that's a mindset, but that's amateur almost sounds kind of like I'm looking down on people, but that's not what I mean. I'm trying to differentiate it from somebody who's trying to make it into a business. And that person isn't. Their goal is just different. They're keeping their retirement house, on the plate.
Right. They're not looking to scale. They're just planning on just having the one and not planning on having any more.
Yeah. And that's okay. But realize that if you are trying to build a business and if you are trying to scale, then perhaps just because that person's been doing it for 10 years, that might not be the right mindset to be in. And there are, different ways that we think about this business. For example, we would never say we have an Airbnb. We've talked about that before. But that's part of it. And you hear that all the time. Hey, I'm setting up an Airbnb. Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. If that's how you're going to identify and you're going to have the one and that's the only platform you're going to be on, that's fine. But that's a limiting mindset for building a business on. Not only because there are other platforms, but because you need to be doing businessy things like building your brand and all of those things.
I think that's something that a lot of people who are looking to get into this business and people who are looking to to scale this business that they don't think about at the very beginning. They may think about it later on after they have a couple of units and they have their direct booking platform up and running, but they don't think about themselves as a brand in the beginning.
Yeah, maybe not. And they're not necessarily thinking businessy things either, like building a team, having a vision, developing who your customer avatar is, identifying locations based on who you're serving. All of those types of things are very strategic. Well, they're not strategic is not the word. They're very systematic. In other words, we go after business systematically because we have a business plan in place and we've thought about those things. Whereas I think a lot of people end up backing into it, like they've got a long-term rental or something, and they just see, hey, maybe we can make more money if we made it a quote Airbnb.
I think a lot of people do that, and it's kind of backwards.
And it is, yeah. And while they may be running even their long-term rental business as a business, in other words, they've been doing it long enough to know that, okay, we need to do background checks and we have property management and we've calculated all these things that we buy based on this criteria and all this kind of stuff that makes sense from a business realm. It's almost like when they go to Airbnb, they kind of try to do like it's something totally different. And it's not. It's still a business. It's still, you're still reading profit and loss statements and things like that. And that's the mindset that we are in.
The business mindset. Yeah, that's really important to have a business mindset if you are looking to grow and scale a business.
Sure. And and what is mindset really? It's the way you look at things.
I'd like to think of mindset as the paradigm or almost the lens in which you look at things.
Because I know you're a big mindset person, so you do this every morning. I
do. I meditate every morning.
You meditate. You're constantly seeking out new ways of thinking and expanding your mind and positive affirmations and all sorts of things like that. I think of that sort of thing when I think mindset. Yeah. But that's kind of not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about more of like what you said, like what's the lens through which you view the business. And in the book, we talk about business mindset, but it's three things that aren't really in that realm. They're more, I think the chapters where
invest in your team.
Right. Invest in your team.
Consistency is key.
Consistency.
And be willing to swallow your pride because mistakes are how you learn.
Yeah. And maybe that's just kind of the lens through which we view things. We're all about building a team and investing in those team members and building a culture within our business. But it's very internal. It's very, what is Queen City Suites doing as a business? What's our culture? If somebody walked into our offices, assuming we had them, what would they see? Would people be smiling? What would the culture be like? That sort of thinking is kind of what we're talking about when invest in your team and build a culture around your business. It's a business that you're running.
Well, that's interesting because I think that a lot of the times that will come from your vision.
Yeah, exactly. It does come from a vision.
And actually sitting down and thinking about your vision for your business is, really important.
It is. And we should talk about that a little bit because it's easy to confuse vision and goals.
Yes.
Because they sound very similar.
Right.
Because you're saying, okay, what does your company look like in 6 years? It'd be very easy to substitute goals in there and say, okay, well, we're making $1 million a year. We're doing this, that, and the other. But those are really goals, not necessarily vision. Vision's more the story, what do you want out of your not only business, but how your business, supports your family, and how, and while there are goal numbers that get set with that, it's really based off of the vision. Like, what do you see the company being and doing? And
I think
growing
that's the key word right there, is being.
Yes.
I don't know what else to say about that. That's just it
struck a chord with you.
It's just interesting to think about a business as an entity on its own, and that being, what is that being like?
Right. And I think it's a combination of a lot of those things. It's, what does it produce in annual revenue? What's the culture like? When somebody thinks of your business, what do they think? I've always heard that, your reputation is really what people say to you about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right. So what are people saying about your company externally? When you think of a Walmart, you automatically know exactly what it is. You know what the floors look like. You know who works there. You know who shops there. You know the types of products that are sold, the culture, a lot of things, even though you've probably never worked at a Walmart. But you know this because they know who they are and they radiate that. And I
think training has a lot to do with
consistent.
that too.
I mean, you can walk into almost any Walmart anywhere and they're very similar.
That's true. I bet. And, training has a lot to do with that.
Yes, but their training is based off of their vision and their who they want their company to be and all that kind of thing.
Right.
And a lot of that is mindset. It's, how do you think about this thing that you're doing?
Do we have a vision?
Yes, so we have a vision story. That's the first two things that we do, right? We do a vision story.
Well, that's right. We did do a vision story.
And then separate from that, we do a who are you going to serve, right? So that's the first two things that we did in the program we went through, because it was very balanced to say, here's the business side of it, which says nothing about renting or any.
Right.
It's the business side of it. And the very first thing for a business is to create the vision for the business. It starts with a dream. It starts with a vision. What's this going to be? What did Ray Kroc imagine McDonald's becoming? That's vision. What did, Mark Zuckerberg imagine Facebook becoming? And sometimes the vision changes over time. As it grows, it kind of morphs into something else, and then you have a different vision. It's changeable for sure, but you need something down. You need to know. It's like, I've made this analogy before. It's kind of like somebody says, hey, jump in the car, let's go. Aren't you going to ask, where are we going? And that's what vision is. Where are we going? And it's different from goals.
Ooh, that's a good analogy. I like that.
Because the goal would be, we're going to Walmart. The vision would be, why are we going to Walmart? Mm-hmm. Yes, we're going to Walmart, but why? I keep bringing up Walmart. I'm not sure why.
Do you need to go to the store?
It's a place we go often. I think when I think destination, I'm like, I'm going to Walmart. We go there for a lot of stuff, right?
That's true.
Our groceries come from there. Most, our medicine comes from there. Almost everything that we get comes from Walmart, unless it's, some other like restaurant or something that we're going to, or we do a lot of shopping at Walmart, like most Americans probably. But yeah, so it's more than the goal is to get there, and the goal is to go 2.2 miles and get there in 15. Those are goals. The vision is, what are we going? Why are we going there? What are we going to do when we get there? What does that look like? What are we on the hunt for? That type of thing.
Milk, bread, flour.
Yeah.
Hamburger meat.
Yeah, but why? Because we're cooking a dinner.
Right. Because
goals are milk and see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's different.
Well, because I have a shopping list of things that I would like to prepare, like on Monday.
You're right.
Right? Like on Monday, we're having on Monday, we're having meatloaf. On Tuesday, we're having tacos. On Wednesday, we're having spaghetti. I've got this list of things that I would like to prepare.
Yeah, and that's the
for
vision.
Dinner.
If you want to make that analogy, that's your vision for dinner this week.
Yes.
But then you have to then go around and say, okay, now what goals do we need to set to make that vision happen?
Right.
Okay, well, we need to go to Walmart again. Well, we need to go to Walmart and get this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing.
And that's the grocery list.
But you had to have the vision for what dinner was going to be before you could even do the other stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So vision is super important.
Oh, I like that analogy. That fits really well with my mind.
And plenty of people skip that, especially when you're starting a new business or you haven't started one before.
Well, it's hard and it takes some time, but we actually did write that down. And I remember
some of the dig it out to see what it actually
categories.
Says?
Right. I was trying to dig it out because it's been a while. Family. We had some family category. There's a family category.
Yeah, so we have a vision for our family.
Right. We have a vision for our family.
There's a vision for the business.
There's a product.
Yeah.
Vision.
What kind of products are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Personnel.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Financial.
Yes.
Financial vision. Client types.
Yeah. Who's your customer?
Yep.
Who's your ideal? Who do you see your business serving? And so all those things are super important. And you always want to talk tactical, like what should my prices be set at, and what places should I go get units, and all this other kind of stuff. And it's easy to skip over the vision part.
The vision part is my favorite part because that's where I get to use my imagination and say, well, I want my life to look like this. And your vision really shouldn't be like a 10-year thing. It should be more of like what'd you say, like a 6-month or 6-year thing? Yeah.
So the person I learned this from said, hey, you don't want to make a 40-year vision because it's so hard to see 40 years in the future. You want something that's close in, that's you can see it. You can see it happening. You can, and then you can start seeing how you're going to get there. So he suggests 6 months to 6 years, which is still a big, range of time, but it depends on the type of business you're in. Is it the type of business that's going to have something in 6 months that, you're going to be building on, or is it something that takes 6 years to develop? Right. Like, for example, I have a friend that's an architect. They build hotels, ironically. But for the time they get the vision for this hotel and what it's going to be to the time it's actually completed is like 6 years.
Yeah.
For one building. And so I know that they go through that this is the vision of what it's going to be. Here's what it's going to look like. Here's the people that are going to come there. Here's the amenities that it's going to have. Here's what the, foyer is going to look like. Here's what the ballroom is going to be designed as. And it takes a while for that to come to fruition because of the length of time it takes to plan and build and get the location and all that in their cycle. So for them, 6 years probably is reasonable. In this business, it's going to be closer in because it moves faster. So 6 months visions, a year vision, 2-year vision, that type of thing is what you probably should be looking for if you're just starting. But go through and write all that out and say, what does the business look like? What does my family look like at that time? What are our finances going to look like? And all that kind of thing. And this all goes back to that mindset of creating a business, not just, hey, I want a lake house. Let's go get one and short-term rental it so that we can retire there. That's a whole different way of thinking. And it's not wrong, again, but it's not what we're talking about in building a short-term rental business.
Well, you got my wheels turning.
Yeah.
Here.
So this is where Wendy starts scratching that place on her head, and then she gets real quiet because she's thinking internally.
You don't know me.
I do know you very well. This was a conversation kind of stops until she's got it all like thought about, and then she'll come back with some stuff.
You don't know me.
You can't do that on the podcast, man. It's like a long pause.
Right. Well, it takes me a little while to digest all this stuff and really think about it. I don't want to spew out some mess. I want to really think about it and marinate on it for a
and
little
I would
while.
encourage the listeners to do the same.
Because
it's not something that you're just going to sit down one day and pencil whip out in 30
I was
minutes
about to say,
and then say, okay, let's go get some units. It's not a thing to check off your list. It's really the foundation.
Right. And I remember when we were writing this vision statement that it wasn't just hey, let's block off a 1 hour block of time and just whip it out. It's more of like
excuse me while I whip this
out. let's think about this and really, put some thought and imagination into it, because it really does. It takes some thought and imagination, and I have a really vivid imagination.
Yeah, and that meditating on it, praying on it, if that's part of your routine, all those types of things, really spend some time on it. And it's the foundation for everything else you're going to do, having that vision. And
I also really like the idea of putting your family vision in there too with your business vision, because they really kind of depend on each other, and they mesh with each other, because we work from home. Our business is at home, and everything that we do affects our home life too.
Yeah, I would say that's true whether your business office is at home or not.
I would say that's probably true. Yeah.
You hear all the time about this, home, work-life balance, but whatever happens at home is going to follow you to work.
Yeah.
And whether work is at home or not. And whatever happens at work is going to follow you home.
Yeah, I mean, it's just human nature.
So the two are intertwined.
They really are.
So your vision needs to be kind of in sync, and that becomes, I think, a problem sometimes when the vision for the business doesn't match up with the vision for the family.
Yeah. And
another point that's I heard made recently that just along those lines that I thought was interesting to point out is that, like, for people like us that are partners in business, we really need to have our own personal visions too and share those. And the example given was, it avoids things like, 2 years from now, Wendy stops working on Fridays. And I'm like, well, why? We got to things need to be done. But what I didn't realize was it was always Wendy's vision to not have to work Fridays.
I think you got that backwards.
Okay. How did I get it backwards? Oh, you mean it was John's thing? No, John's vision is not to work Monday through Friday through Sunday.
Truth. It's true.
I'm all about delegation and let's build a system and you guys go run with it.
That's true.
Right? I'm good with getting reports.
That's John's vision. John's like, I don't care. Just send me a report and I'll look at it.
Right. And I'll let you know if I'm happy with it or not.
Right.
That's John's vision. Yes.
And I'm all about sending you some reports, because if I thought that I had to look at some reports, I would shoot myself.
Yeah. When he doesn't do reports.
I do not do reports. If I thought that I had to look at a P&L and try to figure out what this is telling me about my business, I would not be in business.
Yeah, I like stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
It's a good thing that you like that stuff, because I do not.
But you get my point. My point was that...
Wait, what were we talking about?
I was talking about that the team members in the business or the partners in the business have their own visions.
Oh.
And it's important that the partners know what each other's vision is.
Well, you know what my vision is.
I do. And I'm making that point because I think a lot of people assume that this is just a unified thing that we're going to write on one piece of paper that's our thing. And because it encompasses more than that, it needs to be, going through this process, make sure you know what each other's vision really is.
That's a really
because everybody has their own personal goals.
Sure.
Like Wendy wants a lake house to, that's her thing. Like that's when she's successful, when she has a lake house and she can sit out by the lake and, do her thing in the hot tub or whatever and watch kids play in the lake and have jet skis and all this other kind of stuff. Right.
Yep.
That's her vision. Like, but it may not be mine. That might not be my ideal spot, which means, okay, now we need a beach house and a lake house. Because I'm more thinking like, okay, I need some sand and sun, and
I'd be okay with that too. I mean, twist my arm.
Right. But that's all I'm trying to say.
That's cool though.
Make sure that everybody is on board and is free to have their own things too, and then incorporate that into what you're doing overall. John
wants an airplane.
Yes, I'm a pilot. I haven't flown in a long time, so let's just say I have a pilot certificate. People call it a license, but that's what it really is. It's an airman certificate.
An airman certificate.
Yes.
Okay,
otherwise known as a pilot's license, which I do have, but I haven't flown in forever.
No, it's been a long time.
It's been a really long time. Because I learned to do that, and then I went off and started racing cars, and I couldn't do both.
That's right.
So I haven't flown in a while, but I'd like to get back into that. That would be fun for me. But it's not necessarily Wendy's vision to...
Not so much. I like it when you fly me to my lake house.
Yeah, exactly. So now I need a float plane so I can land on the lake.
That's right.
See, now that might be an idea of combining your visions. It's like, all right, Wendy's going to have the lake house. I'm like, all right, well, it's got to be a calm lake so I can land my float plane.
I'm really liking this vision story thing.
Well, he's like, float plane? Why are we spending money on a float plane?
I don't really care what kind of plane it is. Just get me to my lake house.
And I'm like, how come my lake doesn't have a beach?
I'd be all right with my lake having a beach.
So
I'd be all right.
That's kind of just joking around, but yeah, that kind of thing is important to talk about. Where are you going? Because it's that back to that whole thing. It's foundation, and it's do you just jump in the car and start driving? No, because you're not gonna. Well, you might get to where the other person's going,
right?
But you need to know whether you want to go there or not.
That's true. You need to know where if you want to go.
Right.
Are you going to get in the car too?
Yeah. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. I thought so. I really enjoy making a vision story. That's really
fun. Did you have the 7 categories?
It's really fun for me.
Am I putting you on the spot if I
No,
asked what the
I've got them. So they're family.
So just to recap.
Okay. Family.
Okay. So you need a vision for your family.
Product. And products can be what you are offering right now, like existing, or something that you want to include in the future. Okay. Right? Personnel, financial, client types, culture, and location.
Oh, location, like where you're operating?
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. So those are the 7 categories. So spend some time in those categories thinking about what's my vision for each one of those.
And have some fun with it. I mean...
Yeah, dream.
Dream big, for sure.
But I think it's also saying... I hate to say dream realistically, but what I'm trying to say is don't dream, okay, well, in 40 years we'll have that.
Right. No, it's definitely needs to be closer in like that.
Yeah. Something that is...
I think we did ours.
And then you're probably going to adjust. You're going to either get there or something's going to happen that's more important to you, and that vision will change, or the market will change sometimes.
Yeah.
And you got to make adjustments and all that kind of thing, but you got to start somewhere. You got to have an end goal in mind. And again, it's not a goal, it's a vision, right? It's an end vision.
Yep, an end vision.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nicely done. Let's go think about what we want our lake house to look like.
Right. Or a float plane.
Or a float plane.
It's yellow, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Or red. It could be red.
I'm sure it has a name. I'm not sure.
I don't know. You don't name a plane before you own it.
Oh, really? Is that bad luck?
I don't know if it's bad luck. You just,
Oh, you just don't do it?
yeah.
Oh, I
Sometimes they come with a name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like it's like a boat.
Okay.
You know, they have names on the back.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
And they're always female.
Okay.
It's
all
a
right.
she.
Okay. Sure.
I just don't know what her name is.
Okay.
I haven't figured it out, but that's a really good thing to think about. I'll have to meditate on that.
All right. Well, let's go do that. We hope that you found some value in us talking about mindset and vision for your business. If you would like to learn some more, you can go to thecashflowcouple.com, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks for listening to another exciting episode of the Cash Flow Couple. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, virtually anywhere you might find a podcast, whatever podcast player you're listening on now. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. It helps other people find us. It helps us move up in the rankings. If you did not know, we also have a YouTube channel. It's The Cash Flow Couple. All of our episodes go there. But as well, we also put other video content that is not part of the podcast. You can find us on Facebook at The Cash Flow Couple. We go live there quite a bit. We share tips, tricks, things that are behind the scenes in our business that you may not see on the podcast, but it's definitely more of a real-time, day-to-day type experience. So definitely follow us on Facebook. If you want to ask us questions, or if you have concerns or something you want to hear on the podcast, hit us up by email, info@thecashflowcouple.com. We love to hear from our audience. We really care about you guys. We want to see you succeed, and we want to hear what you have to say. So hit us up, info@thecashflowcouple.com. So until next time, happy hosting, happy investing, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Cash Flow Couple.